Hello everyone. First of all, let me apologize for not putting out a video last week. It's been a little bit crazy around here and probably will be for the next few weeks. So I'll do the best that I can. But this is what we're going to work on today. This is a junk journal that has a cinch binding on it. It is made out of a half composition book. I bought a package of these from Walmart, the Pen and Gear brand, and I just took it to my local UPS store and had them chop off the bound part of this, so the width measured 7 inches. So I'm going to gather the materials to make this. I probably won't show all of the details of this, but I will show some, and then we'll do a complete flip through the very end. I think you're going to love this. It's very, very easy. Okay, I'm going to be using papers from this Fall Market collection by Cartabella Paper Company. And I've already cut my pages out. I took my composition books, my half composition books, and I took them to my local UPS store and had them cut the binding off. The weird thing about these is that one corner was about 1/4 of an inch rounded corner, and the bottom corner was about 1/2 an inch. So I had to go through and round all the corners, and I just used my crocodile to do that, and I used the 1/2 inch side to do that. That way all of my corners would be the same. And I did that with all of my papers. So these are the papers that came out of the notebook, and everything is going to measure, I think these are 4 7/8 inches tall, and I had them cut to 7 inches, and that's correct. So that's how I cut every one of my papers, 4 7/8 inches tall by 7 inches wide. So those are my covers, and I used my cinch machine to put my holes in just to get them centered so everything is set and ready to be punched. Now we just need to put our papers together. So I've got a collection of old book pages. I've got some coffee dyed paper, some old vintage ledger papers, some plain sketch paper, lined paper, of course. I think I have some music paper in here too somewhere. Yeah, some music paper too. And then I just grabbed a few pieces of vintage ephemera that I had, and we'll put those in. And then I have some vellum envelopes that we'll also include in our journal. So for the papers, I have, oh yes, also I cut a few pieces of vellum paper to include in the notebook too. So for the cover, I'm going to be using this paper. The inside cover will be this paper, okay? And then I cut some dividers for the notebook. So I've got that divider, this divider, and this divider, okay? So there'll actually be 4 sections in the notebook, and I'm basically going to take all of these papers and separate them into 4 sections, and then we'll cut the holes in and bind it. Okay, so I'm going to set this to music.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold when the autumn leaves are playing chase. It puts a smile up on my face. since I was a little child. Every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing.
Okay, got all my holes punched. And so now we're going to put the pages onto our wire. I am using 1 1/4 inch wire. Just gives me hopefully plenty of room to add some ephemera to the journal. All right, so I'm going to turn the whole pile upside down and we'll start adding our pages to the cinch wire.
Open up the window, I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow.
All right, so this is my back cover. Let me think about this now. Yeah, this is my back cover. This is my front cover. So it goes on first, and then the back cover goes on with the inside facing up. Okay, so that's all. Let me give this a shake, make sure I didn't miss any short pieces. Okay, then we're going to turn this around. And this is, I need to reset this to 1 1/4 inches. And I want to lay this and this to the back side of the machine. And then just press this down. Okay. So we've still got a little bit of room where we can add some ephemera to this. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do that off camera. I have some beads here that I'm going to make a dangle with. But I just wanted to show you a very simple way to do a junk journal. If you have a cinch machine, you could always punch the holes manually, but I would not recommend it. So this is going to puff up quite a bit when I start adding pockets and tags and things like that. And then we'll put something on the front cover. So once I have done that, I'll come back and do a flip through for you. Okay, everything is put together. I made a little chunky dangle that I attached here on the front with an eyelet. We have approximately, let's see, I think it's 120 single pages in here, not including the dividers. So what would that be? 240 pages. So here's a piece of vellum with a sticker from the collection on there. one of the cut aparts. Okay, I have a pocket here on some music paper with 2 tags. And I put some fun little lace here at the bottom and some bling. And then we have the lined paper that came from the composition book. This is a vellum envelope with a little journaling card in this from the kit. And all I did here was attach some scrap piece of paper to the edge of the envelope so that I could extend it and punch the holes in it without interfering with the inside. And then I added a little tab on the front. Okay, some more of the lined paper. Here is some vintage ledger paper, and I just put a little side tuck there and made a journaling card out of a piece of scrap. Some lace and bling there. And this is sketch paper. Some more lined paper. This is a piece of vintage ephemera that I had. More sketch paper. Lined paper. Here's some coffee dyed paper. And then here we have a piece of vintage book page from an old Reader's Digest book, and I just stamped it just to add some fun there, and then some lace on the edge. And then that's the first section of the book, and then we get to our first divider. And on the divider, I have a little fun paper clip with some white tulle. Another piece of vellum. Vintage ledger paper. And I have added these little stickers throughout. And then this is an old fun flashcard. Some sketch paper. Lined paper. And here's the next envelope with a little journaling card inside. Lined paper, some more coffee dyed paper, sketch paper. Here's another book page, same stamp, and I added some lace to the edge. Here's another sheet of vintage music paper. Made a little pocket there with 2 tags. And also added some lace on that. Okay, that's the second section, our second divider. And again, I have a little paper clip with some tulle. I put a pocket on the back of that with another little journaling card. Okay, another piece of vellum with some stickers. Another book page. Some lined paper. Here's our next envelope. And there's plenty of room to put more things down in these envelopes. Okay, again, I added some scrap to extend the envelope. Sketch paper. Here's another little piece of vintage ephemera. Lined paper. More ledger paper with some stickers. And then I added a large card on the back of this and made it into a pocket with 2 more tags. And added some lace and bling there across the top. Sketch paper, lined paper, coffee paper. And then here's our next sheet of vintage music paper. Again, I put a pocket and some bling there with two tags. And then our next divider, paper clip. Piece of vellum. Here's another sheet of vintage music paper. Lined paper. Here's the next envelope. book page. And there's the back cover with a pocket and another large journaling card. And I just love this dangle. It is removable if you want to take it off, but I just love it. All right, guys, and that's the journal. Again, it's 120 single pages. That includes the envelopes. It does, and the vintage ephemera. It does not include the dividers. And we have all sorts of fluffy things sticking out of the top. All of these seam bindings came from My Scrap Cabin, and I'll leave a link to that below. Again, the composition books came from Walmart. And let's see what else. The lace was part of my stash, all the bling as well. And the collection I bought from Echo Park. And I'll leave a link to the kit below. I'm assuming they still have it available, but I will check it and leave a link below if it's still there. And guys, if you have any questions about anything you saw in here, I will be listing this in my Etsy shop soon. I have several items completed that I need to photograph and do the listings on. If you're interested in this before I get there, you're welcome to reach out to me. So if you have any questions, again, just let me know in the comment section below. And thank you for spending your time with me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.